Hey everyone, Joe Savarese here from Brooklyn, New York, in case you didn't recognize the accent, and welcome to the International Association of Wood Carvers.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the International Association of Wood Carvers. Today is the 3rd of May, 2025. And as always, we appreciate you all taking time out of your Saturday afternoon to come in and talk about wood carving. Today on our meeting, we've got my friend Joe Savarese from Brooklyn, New York, that's going to be coming to us here just shortly. Before we get started with that, I'll talk a little bit about some stuff that's coming up. We've got a good schedule that's lined up really through almost the end of July or end of June. Joshua Walters will be on with us next Saturday. He'll be doing a whimsical house demonstration, so I look forward to that. Carla Harmon's going to be in on the 31st of May. So you'll notice there will be about 2 weekends there where we won't have meetings. Several of us will be traveling up to Utah to teach up there and take classes up there. So we won't have a meeting between the 10th and the 31st. Starting on June the 7th, I saw Dale come in a few minutes ago. Dale Kirkpatrick's coming to us. He's going to be talking to us about carving spools like this one in his meeting. And very fascinating work that he does. Had a chance up in Pennsylvania to talk to him about that. So look forward to having Dale back in with us. On the 14th of June, Greg Weimer is going to be in with us. And then on the 21st of June, my friend Josh Arroyo is going to be back with us. He's been on with us before. If y'all remember, he did the magic trick on one of our meetings where he stabbed a knife through some cards. And anyway, there's a whole thing. If you want to watch that, go back and watch our YouTube videos. And find Josh on there and check that out. It's pretty fascinating. Today, instead of me talking about the upcoming CCA Carving the Rockies show that's going to be out in Colorado Springs, Chris Hammock has done a video for us. And I'm going to ask Dave to go ahead and run that so everybody can see that.
Hey, thank you, Dave and Blake. And welcome everybody to International Association of Wood Carvers. And my name's Chris Hammock. I'm here on behalf of the Caricature Carvers of America and on behalf of all our members. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our Carving the Rockies show, all caricature carving show coming up September 20th and 21st of this year. I specifically want to tell you about the School of Caricature Carving, which we have the 3 days following the show. That's the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of September. And we have 3 great instructors. You'll get a chance to carve with one of them each day of the classes. And I'll tell you a little bit about the instructors who are coming. All CCA members. One is Bob Thurston, one of our newest members. Bob's coming to us from Chesaning, Michigan, all the way from Chesaning, Michigan. Great carver and a lot of fun to carve with. Mr. Dennis Thornton is coming, who is a long-time CCA member. He's coming to us from Guilford, New York, all the way from Guilford, New York. Wonderful carver. I'll show you some of his work here. And our third instructor is Mitchell Cartledge, coming from Morgantown, North Carolina. Again, these guys are coming from a long ways away. They're coming all the way across the country. You don't get many chances to carve with them out in this area. So if you're thinking about coming to our show, please consider staying a couple of extra days and take these seminars from these guys. They have over 90 years of carving experience combined between them. It's incredible. Great carvers, and they'll be happy to share their knowledge that they've gotten over the years with you and help you along your carving journey. On behalf of the Caricature Carvers of America and all our members, I'm Chris Hammock. I want to say thank you. And I hope to see you in Colorado Springs in September at the greatest all caricature wood carving show on earth.
So that's fine. So I'll tell you a little bit about it, and I usually do, so you probably already heard it. But the CCA Carving the Rockies show will be coming up September 20th and 21st out in Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's the largest caricature carving show in the world. We will have the special category that I just advertised this week, Buccaneers and Scallywags. If you want to participate in that you need to go ahead and carve something so that you can have it for entry out there in Colorado. We'll have a whittling competition, ugly cowboy competition, silent auctions, vendors, wood, tools, all kinds of things for the caricature carver. And then on the 22nd through the 24th, we have the School of Caricature Carving out there. And again, you have to go to the CCA website to sign up for that. Seats are going quick. I just talked to Chris Hammock about that this week. And I think we're very limited on seats. So if you want to go out there and you want to participate in that, we'll have 3 different instructors on those days. And you'll be able to go out and take classes from each instructor, 1 instructor per day. So,
and with more information from Blake, that's what the video is mainly about. So when that comes out Monday, you'll have a detailed view of each of the presenters and teachers that are going to be out there. So you guys can get that information on Monday when the YouTube is released.
Thanks, Dave. Having said all that, we've got today our friend Dave Stetson that's going to come in. He's going to do words of wisdom for us. So Dave, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right, we're going to borrow words from Maya Angelou. Maya said that you should do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better.
Thank you, Dave. And if anybody's wondering, it's warm enough in Arizona to swim in the swimming pool now. So if you don't have anything else to do, go out and see Dave Stetson out of the swimming pool and take a dip. So today on our meeting, I've got my friend Joe Savarese that's coming to us from Brooklyn, New York. Joe's been in Wood Carving Illustrated several times. He's got several articles. He's got a YouTube channel. He's going to be talking about all those things. And today he's going to be doing a demonstration as well. He does a lot of ball and cage type carvings. If you saw the advertisement, one has a train in it, one has multiple balls. The one that he's going to be talking about today is a heart in a cage, and he'll be going through that process. So, Joe, I just want to say welcome to the International Association of Wood Carvers. I appreciate you coming in. We look forward to hearing what you have to share with us. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to you. And I appreciate you coming in and presenting.
Well, thank you, Blake and Dave, for this opportunity. I wish this was around when I was younger. I first started. Well, before I show everyone how to carve this project, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself and my carving journey. It started when my dad took me on a Cub Scout camping trip. I was 7 years old. And when I got to the campground, I had to go into the cabin to drop off my sleeping bag and backpack. And I saw this guy hanging out with a block of wood and a knife and didn't know what he was doing. He was just creating something. So I just stopped what I was doing and I watched him. And what felt like minutes, it was a lot longer because my friends gave me a lot of grief about it. They were waiting for me outside to play Capture the Flag or one of those games. So what he was doing was carving a deer out of a block of sugar pine wood with a single knife. And I was mesmerized, and like I said, that's all I was doing, just watching. So he saw that I was interested, and he pointed to the fireplace mantle shelf. There's a whole bunch of cutouts up there, a dog, a cat, and this is what a cutout looks like. You can buy these online or at carving supply stores, and to give you a head start, they cut out the side and the top profile to give you a head start carving. So this is actually a comfort bird. So he pointed to those cutouts and he said, "You're welcome to take any of those." And my dad said, "Oh, you're a little too young, but when you get older, maybe you can ask him." So I put it back on the shelf. So I forgot if I mentioned he was actually carving a deer. I did mention that probably. Okay, so it was for Mother's Day gift because it was Mother's Day weekend. So I'm going to fast forward to 5 years later. And I was on another camping trip, and that man, his name is Roy Kenneth McGinnis Sr., and he was my scoutmaster. Back then, he was just a parent helping out, but he volunteered to be the scoutmaster. And I went on another camping trip, and he was there, and I went to the canteen store, the camping store, and I bought this kit, this neckerchief slide kit, and I asked him for help and guidance. Now, I already had my totemship card, and what that is, it's kind of authorizes you to carry a knife and use an axe and a saw on camping trips. So I already had that card. So I had a imitation Swiss Army knife. It was like no more than $5. and asked me for advice. And he was a hands-off teacher. So he told me what to do. I went back to my tent. And within minutes, I cut my right thumb because I'm a righty and I was holding my knife in my left hand and holding the project in my right hand. So I didn't want him to take away my totemship card, or I believe every violation, they ripped off the corners until eventually it turns into a circle, if I remember correctly. So I didn't want anything to happen. So I hid the injuries from him. I continued carving. And I showed him the progress report and he said, "You're doing good. Just keep on going." So this is how it turned out. Now this is from 1985, by the way. So if you're doing the math, I'm 52 now. So I was instantly hooked. Kind of got home from the camping trip, and I got myself an X-Acto set, and just kept on carving. Found wood, tent pegs. You know, when you pitch a tent on a camping trip, they were like wooden pegs. So I would use that to carve. I'd buy more neckerchief slide kits like this. Let's see, I made stuff. I made this for my mom. This was my tent peg. This was from balsa wood. My dad picked me up balsa wood from a hobby shop. Never heard of basswood back then until I discovered Rick boots, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Something else I made. This is the only project that Roy helped me carve. He carved the detail of the thumb for me. And this is I made for my sister. So I did this for 6 years, carving, just like I said, little trinkets. And then I discovered Rick Boots. He was like the Bob Ross of wood carving. And he was on PBS, and I was just obsessed with his show. I'd run home every chance, right from school to watch him. And I was fortunate enough to meet him many years later. I told him that story, and he laughed and he said, he goes, "You're kind of aging me," because I was telling him I was 12 years old. And so he says, "You're making me feel like I'm an antique lamp." And, but he was a great guy. And he actually sent me a Christmas card not too long ago, thanking me for everything I've done in the carving community. So I was doing that for 6 years, like I said, making little trinkets. And then Roy said, "You're doing good. Just try to stay away from X-Acto sets and get yourself a wood carving knife." So he told me to get a wood carving knife like this. It's the exact one, actually, from 1991. And he gifted me Ramesson chisels, give me a set of 6. And he also bought me a carving glove. It's the only one I use. Okay. And I continued my journey. And in my journey, I started scroll sawing and wood turning and building and maintaining radio control models for 2 hobby shops in the neighborhood. I was going to college. I was going for my associate's degree in electrical engineering. And after my degree, I got a job at Panasonic. And Panasonic stationed me at NYU, New York University, where there was hundreds of photocopiers and facsimile machines. And as I'm fixing these machines, I would keep this dog on top of the photocopier. And I was very shy, so people would comment on the carving. I would just say thank you. And my buddy, coworker, would say, "It's like, oh my God, he sells this stuff. He carves. You gotta see the pens he makes, the vases, this, that, another thing." So they said, "Do you sell anything?" And before I could say anything, my friend said, "Of course he does." So now I'm selling this stuff, and I'm putting the money towards my bachelor's degree in telecommunications. I put the money towards that. I put the money back into my carving, hobby. Okay, so that's the early stages of my journey. I'm just going to fast forward to what I've been doing since then. Since then, I've written 5 articles for Wood Carving Illustrated. My first article was this guy here. Okay. And I just recently discovered that it was Blake's first article. We're in the same issue. And I think we both have more hair back then. So that was back in 2010, right, Blake? And let's see, my second article was this guy. This is a block of walnut wood. I made 4 of these owls for the article. I did walnut, basswood, butternut, and mahogany. Okay. This was another article. This represents my wife and I, and my son in the middle. He's always wondering why he's stuck in the cage, but I was told him that we're protecting you with this crazy life. And by the way, this was actually a much smaller version, but I told the publisher, I said, let's make a larger version because you're going to lose readers. The original piece was much smaller. Like the ball inside was no more than ½ an inch in diameter. So they agreed. Let's see what else. Okay, this is the most popular one. People love this. This I made for my godson, nephew Louis. Okay, a solid piece of wood. I didn't glue anything. I get that a lot. And my other article is dear to my heart. I remember my mom, and it's not a how-to article. It's more like I opened the floodgates and I just talked about everything, why I picked the wood, the difference between walnut and basswood, and carving walnut, how you have to change the bevel of your tools so it can cut it, because walnut's quite challenging. I explained how I pierced the back, the difference between a scroll saw, a coping saw, a fret saw, the pros and cons of each thing. So I'm really proud of this article. I also talk about the different chisels, making undercuts, spoon gouges, flat, fixed gouges. Okay. So I also have a website. My website right now has over 400 pieces of my work, and it's a show and tell, just to inspire and get people into this hobby. But one of the pages on my website I'm very proud of. It's called Inspirational Artists, and on that page is people I look up to, like Howard Enlow and Peter Ortell and Dave Stetson and Dennis and Susan Thornton. Okay, and in fact, on that page, whenever I bought a carving off them, I would ask them, could you take a picture of working on the piece? So I reached out to Dave Stetson with my first article, and I asked him, I'd like to order this carving, and could you take a picture? So he did. He got his neighbor to take a picture for him. And if you go on that website, you'll see it. Howard Enlow was so generous over the years. He would send me so many pictures of him carving pieces and to share with the carving community. Also, I mentioned Dennis and Susan Thornton. They're on my page as well, but they were so instrumental. They encouraged me to enter into carving contests and participate in carving shows. They used to bust my chops a lot and say, "Come on, I want to see you next year doing at a carving show, not just as a visitor." So a big thank you, and I cherish their friendship. Also, when I turned 40, I treated myself to the Geiger Marolda wood carving school in Austria. I loved it so much. I remember getting there on a Sunday night and meeting the instructor, talking about what I'd like to learn for the week. And then Monday morning, not aware of jet lag, never left the country before. 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm sorry, I was carving at 8 o'clock their time, but my body was telling me it's 2 o'clock in the morning. So it was a bit of a challenge for the first couple of days, but I was fortunate enough to go back 3 more times, I believe. And I got more adjusted, and I would head to the school a couple of days earlier to adjust. Let's see. Oh, also in the school in Austria, I learned that they don't use knives. They mainly use gouges and mallets, and they use knives to peel potatoes. And this is my last creation that I made in the school. I didn't finish it. I usually don't show people unfinished work because now I'm fresh. I have to finish it. Don't get scared, Evan. It's a buddy of mine. He's scared of his own shadow, but it actually fits. Okay. Let's see. I have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is under Mr. Splinters. As of now, I have 7 how-to videos. I have video shorts on there. I even have a video on my Austria trip. And the instructor was kind enough to show me how to carve a female face. I videotaped it, so it's on the video. But I also have all the food that I ate that week, and Bob Hershey, I really enjoyed that segment. Let's see.
Hey, Joe, a couple questions for you.
Sure.
What was the website? What was your website's name?
Oh, sure. It's whittleandchips.com. So it's WHITTLE chips CHIPS.com.
Okay. And before you continue there, I failed to mention in our little chaos there with the video that we're doing a knife auction today in the meeting as well. And you were talking about Dennis Thornton. So I wanted to go ahead and jump in and talk about that before you get started. Dennis has been gracious enough to autograph a Helvey Signature Series knife. We want to auction that off today during the meeting. All the proceeds will go towards the furthering of these meetings. So as normal, if you'll put your bid in the chat, high bid will win. Again, it's Dennis Thornton Signature Series Helvey. His name and the logos on one side that Rich Smithson put on there. And again, his signature is here with Helvey on that side. You can see it's a Signature Series. Never been used, brand new. Signed this out in Colorado Springs. So if anyone is interested in that, please place your bid in the chat. And at the end, we'll stop the meeting. High bid will win, and I'll get the information so that I can ship it out to you at that time. So, Joe, I apologize for interrupting you there. I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you, and I appreciate it.
No worries. Let's see. I mentioned the YouTube. So the next thing, I teach soap carving for the Brooklyn Public Library. Before the pandemic, I used to teach for the community center, a local community center. I was teaching wood carving and soap carving, but after the pandemic, they changed the rules of the facility. The cool thing about teaching soap carving is seeing the reactions, whether it's a kid or an adult. They're walking away with just such joy and excitement. And as an instructor, I always get nervous that they're going to drop and break their piece. So now I give everyone like a little happy box, a Happy Meal cardboard box to safely bring their project home. I'm going to talk about a little bit of my current work. So I'll mix it up. I'll show you some soap carving. I'll show you some woodworking. So this is from ivory soap. Okay. By the way, I take Elmer's glue and I brush on around any kind of stressful points because there's no grain in soap, and I'll explain about grain later. There's no fibers. There's nothing to hold the soap together. Okay, so I'll mix it up. So here you go. This is a little Snoopy I did for the Caricature Carvers of America contest. I've lost count. I think it's 132 pieces of wood. Okay. Snoopy himself is 5 pieces. I made 25 little lights. Originally I made 50. And don't ever sneeze when you're working on something so small. So lost quite a few of them. But anyway.
Hey, Joe, what do you use to attach those lights?
Okay, I carved a little groove behind the light bulb, and a little groove, and I kind of like interlocked it onto the metal wire. The wire is like 22 gauge wire. I think I have a video short on that on my website. Oh no, I'm sorry, on YouTube. Okay, but when I said like Snoopy's 5 pieces, let's see, actually, Blake, I'm sorry, Dave, could you change the camera for me, please? Perfect. Does that come across clear? So
yeah, you're good.
The scarf is 1 piece. The nose is another piece. The ears are separate. Okay, and I carved it like a jigsaw puzzle, like interlocking pieces, so they can't tell. Okay. I didn't like the end grain of the block, so this is a veneer piece of maple. Gives a cleaner cut, a cleaner look, I should say. So, okay, what else do I have? I have, oh, could you change my angle, please? Right, thank you. This is 2 bars of soap. kind of like locked it in the back. This is a guy that Dennis encouraged me to submit into like an open class caricature open contest, and came in second place. Dennis beat me. He came in first for his the Mick Jagger Roy Orbison piece. Okay, this is a goose egg. Okay, it's about not even it's like a quarter of a millimeter. So the shell is extremely fragile. I use a dentist tool. It's the same tool that the dentist would use, except the bit goes straight at 90 degrees. I can show you what the tool looks like. It's air driven. And, okay, so let's just do that. Let's see what else. I don't want to break this, so let's see. Another piece I have from another contest, Caricature Carvers America contest, maybe 2019. I think I did this one. Okay, this is about a dozen pieces of wood to give the illusion that this rope that goes around them, that's several pieces of wood that I glued together, wood burned, carved it, wood burned it, textured it, so it doesn't look like it's glued together. And last but not least, my ostrich egg that everyone seems to love. An ostrich egg's shell is about 3 millimeters thick, so I have a lot more material to work with to give the illusion that's interlocked. So, does anybody have any questions before I move on?
Nothing in the chat.
Cool. So I want to bring this story full circle and talk a little bit more about Roy McGinnis. That's the guy who inspired me. For the most part, he was living in Florida, but we'd keep in touch, and I would always invite him to my carving workshops and stuff like that. And he would always bust my chops and say, "Well, when are you going to have another article, coming out? We need good content out there." So the family reached out to me in 2023 to say that he passed away. And when I went to his funeral, was in Brooklyn, so I went there, and his wife was excited about seeing me and told him that this is his carving buddy. And she told me that he proudly kept one of my issues in his back pocket and would show everyone. And if you read any of my articles in the bio, I always give him a shout out. I always use the carving glove that he gave me back in 1991. So for this demonstration, I will be using one of his knives that the family gave me. The family gifted me a couple of his tools, so I'll be using one of his knives in memory of him and his carving glove. And there's a picture of him and I from when I made Eagle Scout back in 1989. So he will be missed, or he is missed.
Hey Joe, another question in the chat, or one question in the chat. How many eggshells have you broken when you're trying to carve this?
None so far.
Nice.
But I was practicing back in 2019, and I kept a little shell. I kept a little practice thing, and that broke on me. So this was like a little date. I put 12. I was like 12/29, 2019. So that's the only thing that broke on me so far. See if I can get it. Anyway, so it looks something like this.
Nice.
See how thin this shell is. That's incredible. And my house smells like a dentist office for like a week when I'm working on this stuff. So, but yeah, that's really about it with my intro. If anybody has any questions, I can show you a demonstration on how to carve the heart inside the cage.
Yeah, they were good. If you want to go ahead and transition to that.
Well, this is the project I would like to talk about today. Thank you. Let's see if I can move this over a little bit. I'd like to talk about this project. And I picked this size for one reason. It's the same size as the ivory soap. Okay, so kids out there, anybody dealing with any health issues, those like don't have like the muscle strength right now, they can do this in soap. Okay, but I'm going to concentrate on the wood, and then at the end, I'll talk a little bit about the soap, the pros and cons. So the first thing you want to do is lay it out on graph paper. So let's see. Okay, lay it on graph paper, 1/4 inch squares. And you want to decide on how wide the rails to hide the project inside. And you want to decide on how big of a heart or how big of the object is. Now with the train station of the stuff, there's other methods. I will talk about that a little later. So you have to decide. So I decided on 1/2 inch rails. Okay. And the heart, I'm going to show you what it's going to look like inside. I decided on a heart to be 1 3/8 of an inch. You can see it's just big enough to hide in there, but not, you don't want it small and get accused that you put it in afterwards. So once you decide on your measurements, you're going to take a block of wood and a combination ruler, or you can just use a regular ruler, but combination ruler is easier to use. So you take a block of wood. I'm going to set this for 1/2 inch, or metric system is 13 millimeters. And you're going to rest it. Pencil. Let's see. Okay. And we're going to start laying out the lines. So you're going to work all the way around. Like I said, you don't have to use a combination ruler, but the combination rulers, you can get one from like a Home Depot store for like $5, $10. Okay, so that's one of the measurements, and kind of I transfer everything around for you. Okay, the next step is I decided on the heart that I wanted the heart 1 1/2 inches in length and 1 3/8 of an inch wide. That's just, to me, it looks nice. It doesn't have to be that. It could be 1 1/2 inches, but I like that size. Okay, so I have to decide. I have to reserve wood in here for that. So let me see if I have a block here. For example, so this is my heart, and I just want to reserve space in this block of wood. So I'm going to go. I don't care about the sides right now. I just want to reserve this space. So that's telling me I have to remove wood here, here, all the way around. So this, don't touch, just like the train in the station. Okay. I knew I wanted to carve something in this box. Didn't know what it was at the time. So I had to just reserve a block of wood. That's the same thing I'm doing with this project, the heart. So once I decide, I have to remove all this wood all around. So the way you do that, you take a carving knife. So my on. So Dave, could you change my angle, please? Okay. So with the carving knife, when you have a carving knife in your hand, if you're righty or lefty, you put it in the hand that you write with, across your 4 fingers. Okay, the blade facing away from you. I'm sorry, Dave, could you change the angle again? Maybe it's easier. Thank you. Much better, thank you. So I'm gonna rest it across my 4 fingers comfortably. The blade's gonna be pointing away from me. And I'm just gonna grip it like you're gripping a pen or a pencil. The thumb's gonna go behind. And this is gonna be your car. You're just gonna be steering the car, driving the car through the wood, okay? This guy The other hand, your thumb is going to be your gas pedal. Okay. So I'm going to do a stop cut first. The stop cut is I'm taking the tip of your knife and I'm putting it in the corner. I'm going 90 degrees straight down. Okay. But I'm going to stop before I get to this line because I don't want my knife to cut into any of the rails. Turn around in the corner, stop cut. Again, in the corner. Do this all the way around. And what I'm doing is I'm making a stop cut. I'm like digging a microscopic ditch into the wood. So when I take my chisel or a gouge, I can remove it. Okay. I'm going to take a gouge. I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to take 216. Now 216 is the curvature. The number 2, 16. 2 is the curvature of the blade. The higher the number, the deeper the curve. So there's a number 2. I'll show you number 5. Let's show you the difference. The curve is starting to change. Okay, I can jump up to number 8. It's more like a shovel now. Okay, it goes up to a number 11. Number 11 looks like a U. Now the number 16 is the width of the cutting blade. So I made the stop cut all the way around. I grip the tool like this. I'm just gonna slide it up to the stop cut. Now I'm just using my fingers. I'm not using my arm. I'm just kind of pushing the tool up against the stop cut. Okay. And then I continue. Stop cut. Okay. I'm going to show you something slightly different. A number 3, 8. This is a palm gouge. Okay, this is the palm of my hand. This is a number 3, the curvature. Number 8 is the width. Slide into it. So I'm going to continue this. I got to remove all the way around. Okay, if you have a drill press, or you can also drill it out, but I like the traditional old-fashioned way. So eventually, this is going to turn into this guy. Okay, so I got the block reserved, and I need to shrink this. I need to shrink this block in here, make it smaller for the heart. It has to look like this. Let's see if I have. It needs room in there. So I decided I'm going to make this look small on top, the bottom, the sides. So I'm going to make a stop cut along the rail here. Does anybody have any questions for me? Okay, so I made a stop cut. I'm going to take another 216. Carve it across the grain right now. And I'm just using my fingers to push the tool. I'm not using my arm. You have no control. So I'm going to carve this down to 1/8 of an inch depth, or 3 millimeters deep. And Great way you can make a depth gauge. I'll show you what I mean. Just give me a minute. So I'm going to carve this down to 1/8 of an inch. So the way I could adjust my combination ruler to 1/8 of an inch. And I could test it. So I got a long way to go. Okay, but I already did this side. So this is how it's going to look. Sorry, I'm new to this podcast. That's how it's going to look. Okay, so I'm going to continue here. This side, we're going to go 3/16 of an inch down, which is 5 millimeters. Switch to a number 2, 8 millimeter wide. A little too wide. Let me see. No, it'll fit. So you can use a combination ruler as your depth gauge, or you can make one out of an index card. So this is my 3/16 or 5 millimeter depth gauge. So for example, so I know I'm 5 millimeters deep here. I know this is 1/8 of an inch deep here. Okay, I just have to continue with these two parts. Okay, let's see. Another 30 seconds. I'll be done with this side. a little bit. Okay. So we got 5 millimeters here, or 3/16 over here as well. This is 3 millimeters or 1/8 of an inch here. And then I just have to work on this part. And then I can move on to the next step. Does anybody have any questions?
You're good, Joe. Joe, do you have any new designs coming out outside of, you've done the train and the heart, you do ball and cage?
I do. They're in experimental stage right now, so I'm not, I don't want to jinx it. But I do have a bunch of things. What I use now is monster clay.
Nice.
It's great medium. I did to practice my new designs. I was talking to Darissa from Fox Chapel Publishing about working on some whimsical articles. So let's see how that goes.
Good deal.
Let's see. Let's see. Earlier I mentioned Rick Boots. What he does with his file Swiss made tools is he takes twine and he wraps it around this portion so you can grip it. So it's a good little trick. Okay. So now we're gonna have to make this even smaller. We're gonna put a center line down the middle. And we want to add some curve to the heart. This is what the heart's gonna look like. So we want to, well, that's not good. Let's see, I'm gonna show you. Okay, well, I lost that guy. So, show you. So we want to angle this block of wood. We're angled here, we're angled here. So it's kind of hugging the rails. So we want to carve that further down here and here on both sides. You see that? Okay. We do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Kind of hard to see, but so now we want to slope it down this way and slope the heart down this way. Maybe, Dave, could you change the angle, please? So this is the heart. And now I want to see if I can do this. So we want to slope it. I want to slope it this way. And then I want to slope the heart this way. I don't know if it's making myself clear. So what we're going to do is, thank you. Slope this back. Slope this back. Take the knife. This is where the push cut comes in play. This is the car. I'm steering the car. I'm driving the car, and this is my gas pedal. I'm gonna take this thumb and push the blade. It's a parent cut. Okay, so I'm angling hot angle up here. Okay. I angled it down this way. I angled it down this way. I'll do the same thing on this side. So it's going to look something like this when I'm done. Now we can start shaping into a heart. Okay, so we gotta do this, do this. So we have to move this section of the wood over here as well. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. You always want to make sure you're not going to cut into the rails. So always think before you make each cut. So once you damage the rails, there's really no way to repair it. So, shaping the heart down here. Sorry if I'm out of range. Okay. Okay. Now on the side, we got to remove this wood. That's part of the slope. See, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this with the camera, but I have to remove all this wood here. Same thing on this side. Okay, it's getting there. Now we have to sketch in the top of the heart. And if you want to find the center line, you can use a caliber. Well, that's not good. Forget about that. You can use a caliber, or you can use dividers as well. Going to Austria, they try to train you not to measure, do by eye. Has anybody took classes with Vic Hood out there? He's teaching in Lancaster this week, or the Conowago show, the Conowago Club this week.
Vic's a great instructor. That'd be a good one to get into.
Yeah, he's excellent. I know Carl is in that class this weekend. Was he ever on this podcast?
No, we haven't had a chance to get him on.
Yeah, good guy. Learned a lot from him. Okay. Okay, so it's getting there. So I'll work on this a little bit more.
Hey Joe, what carving shows do you usually attend? I know the Lancaster show. Are there others?
Yeah, I go to the Wayne, New Jersey show. That's where I met Dennis and Susan. And I've been going to that show since 2009. I started participating in 2012 because of Dennis. And then he encouraged me to go to Lancaster. So he's the reason why I'm there. I started going to the Lancaster shows in 2014 to current. And every year on YouTube, I post the video of the show. So I'm still working on this year's video. Hopefully it'll be done in about a couple more weeks. Okay. So this is how it looks. Now the next step, we got to start removing wood inside the rails inside. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. See, where's the so the rails, I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but they're angled. So it gives me more room to work with the heart or the subject. Okay. So it's all angled here, here, little bevels, I should say. So taking your knife, see if the camera can pick this up. I'm gonna, there we go, good. Start removing all this inside. It just gives me more room to work with the object inside. Now the train in the station, that's hugging the rails of side rails. So I'll show you that a little later. Okay. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. With the videos, the YouTube videos that I work on I have a partner, friend Barry. He does all the editing for me. So this is the tricky part. You got to get your knife in there and angle, and just like I said, think before you make the cut. You don't want to ruin the rails. I've been making so many of these that I'm used to it now. But you can use a skew chisel. I'll show you what that means, what that is soon. Okay, that's probably a good angle. See, I'm just moving the wood inside. I don't recommend that you do these carvings in one sitting. I definitely take a break, put it on a shelf, look at it, start again the next day. Give your brain a chance to adjust. See any kind of imperfections.
Hey, Joe, this reminds me a little bit of chain carving. Have you ever carved any chains?
Yes, I'm actually working on video. It's, I've made the link chains attached to a ball in the box.
And I know you said you use a Dremel on the eggs. You don't use any kind of power when you're doing something like this, right?
No, I'm not a big fan of power carving. Maybe small workshop, the dust and everything. So, but I do have my power carvers and use it occasionally. But more traditional, I just love gouges and knives.
And tell me about why ivory soap is better to carve than other soaps? Is there anything to that?
Yeah, it holds the detail really well. It's Ivory changed the ingredients to plant-based, so it's more like a wax. Originally, it was had animal fat in there, so people would tend to sneeze and cough and everything. So I'm glad they changed the ingredients, but I think they changed it because they're probably losing business with the vegans out there, people that didn't want to use products that had animal fat in there. But it works out great for carvers. I use a popsicle knife when I do soap carving, so you have to put a little bit more effort into carving soap now. These are the new ingredients, but it's still a pleasure. Okay, so you just have to keep on doing this. Eventually, it's going to break free.
So you're really taking more wood from the rails and really not much more from the heart. Is that right?
Exactly. It's hard to see with the angle, the camera angle, you know. But it's getting there.
And do you do any kind of commission work? Say somebody would like for you to do something like the train or one of the one that you did with your son, the two balls with the little one in the middle. Do you do anything like that as far as commission goes?
I don't. It helped me through college, and but I don't do it anymore. It's too stressful. It's just not enough time in the day. So, but I do have an Etsy store, and I haven't added anything on there in a while. But when I do, I'll post the stuff on Etsy.
Is that the same title? Is it Mr. Splinters, or is there a way they can find it?
He's just under Joe Savarese, or it could be Mr. Splinters. It's been a while since I've been on that.
Okay.
So I'm using a number 2 8mm, and it's just perfect to shape the heart. I can get in through the side now. Just continue shaping it. I think this is like watching paint dry. So if you want, I could talk about other projects. Anybody lose interest?
I think everybody's pretty well locked into to what you're doing there. I think the interest is seeing how it breaks loose.
Oh, pressure. I'm going to switch to a number 2 16mm. That's a wider. Taken so many online classes, Kevin Applegate, Bob Hershey, and they all say the same thing. It's weird, carving, talking to yourself, and people watching you. It's a weird feeling. Now I see what they mean.
Yeah, that's the biggest challenge. Is just sitting there talking without people interacting with you, and also staying underneath the camera.
How am I doing with the camera thing?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good.
And I know it's kind of hard to keep this underneath the camera at the angle you're having to cut, so it does make it a little difficult. But I think people can see what you're doing.
Go. Taking more off the rails now. Is there any new carvers out there that never picked up a knife or block of wood? Feel free to ask any questions.
Hey Joe, you said you teach class. Is that on a regular basis up there in Brooklyn?
I would say every other month. I teach for the Brooklyn Public Library system.
So if somebody was in the area, can they participate in that?
Yes. Yeah, they can just reach out to me and I can tell them the schedule the next time I'll be at the library.
And you do a variety of different types of carving. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Whimsical, like stuff like this. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just enjoy the challenge. But I'm always pushing myself, trying different techniques and different woods. I want to get into welding. You know, took a couple welding classes, try to incorporate that into the woodworking, do some kind of sculpting, mix it up.
Well, as you're carving there, is there anything specific you do to these kind of carvings as a finish, knowing that you've got a piece of wood there that's sliding back and forth to keep it from getting gummed up or, you know,
perfect, yeah,
any of that kind of thing?
Boiled linseed oil I like to use because it just absorbs and it doesn't gum up or stick. I definitely wouldn't use like polyurethane or stuff like that. Just, but the thing with boiled linseed oil, you have to be careful. It's spontaneously combusts, so you have to be careful and dispose of your rags carefully. And when I apply boiled linseed oil, I take the rags, I drop into a bucket of water, and then I take it outside and I just kind of let them air dry the rags. And then I will let the boiled linseed oil dry for about 3 days. And then I put Howard's feed and wax, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I put that on and I let that sit for, I don't let it sit no more than 20 minutes onto the carving. And then I brush it, I wipe it off and take a shoe polish brush and I remove the excess off. And I let that sit for about 2-3 days. And that's it.
So Cody's asking if you've ever thought about doing something other than hearts or captured balls, sort of like caged birds or basic animals in a cage.
Yeah, yes, for sure. Yeah, I have a bunch of things in the works, but you know, people's names I put in there. What else? I've done quite a few weird things. Bob Hershey did a great job on carving a rabbit inside a cage, and the rails were 4 carrot sticks. It's in one of my videos. Bob, do you remember when you did that carving? It was at the Lancaster show. Bob's still there.
I'm here, Joe. I literally don't remember ever doing that.
Oh no. Oh man.
So I'll take your word for it. I did it. It sounds like something I would have done, but I honestly don't remember that.
It was a couple of years back. It was a rabbit. I think you put it in a silent auction. And
that very well could be.
And it was a rabbit, and the rails were 4 carrots.
Yeah, I have to think about that. My memory is not what it used to be, and it never was very good. But that really does sound like something I would have done because I've carved a lot of ball and cages. and with bunnies in, but I think you're talking. Yeah, I don't quite remember it, but I'll take your word for it, and I hope you're right. And it sounds like a good idea. I hope I did it.
I was going through the pictures the other day. You're working on the video, and I discovered it.
Oh, you saw a picture of it?
Yeah. I'll send
Oh,
it to you.
yeah. If you can find it without a lot of effort, that would be cool.
Sure.
I'm embarrassed. I just can't quite remember it.
We'll write it off as a senior moment. How's that?
I have a lot of them. I'll let you go.
Okay, so one of the sides is getting there. You don't want to force it. That's one thing, especially with soap. If you're going to do the soap doesn't have a grain. What I mean by grain is like a toothpick, like it's nice and strong. So soap doesn't have that, so it can easily break. So you want to just break the heart free on its own without forcing.
Joe, this is Dale Kirkpatrick.
Oh, hey Dale, how are you?
Okay, I just wanted to point out, I don't know whether people would have picked up on this. I don't know whether you mentioned it or not. I had to step away, but you're moving around. You're not working in one spot all the time. You're moving from one rail to the other, inside and outside, and instead of concentrating on one spot and finishing up one side of the one corner of the heart. Before you go to the other, you keep moving so it's balanced the whole time.
Exact. Thanks for pointing that out, Dale. It's exactly why I'm just the symmetry. So appreciate that. Looking forward to your podcast. Okay, so I'm using a skew chisel now. It's a palm skew chisel. And I believe it's considered number 2 by a lot of manufacturers. And number 1 would be considered a chisel. And number 2, I believe, is considered a skew chisel. And number 3, that's when it slightly starts curving. And the higher the number, more of a curve. I'm taking a skew chisel. Now I'm just sort of digging out any kind of loose fibers, kind of picking it out. You can also use a dental pick. Using dentist, like dentists would use. You'd use that to kind of clear out any kind of loose fibers. But I'm making progress here. It's almost done this section here.
And Joe, I'll remind everybody that we're still doing the knife auction in our chat. So if anybody wants to bid on that, we'll be coming up on the end of the meeting here in a little bit, and we'll call the bid at that point. So if anybody wants to bid on that against a Dennis Thornton autographed signature series Helvey knife, so place your bids in the chat.
Doing on time. I don't want to run out of time.
There's another question. If you wanted to paint your card work, what kind of paint is best for painting wood? All acrylics? Is there different types of paint or four different types of wood?
Sure. I like to use acrylic. I use the Josana acrylic paints. It's water-based. I know Bob Hershey enjoys oil. And with the acrylics, I use one piece size drop of paint to about 15, 20 drops of water and mix it up. And then I test it on a scrap piece of wood to see how it looks. I want the wood grain to show. You can also use a newspaper, and you paint over a newspaper, like black and white newspaper, and see if you could read the print, the black print. And if you can still read the black print, I'm happy with the consistency of the paint. I like Josana because it's a good quality acrylic paint. Now, with this heart in a cage, I do paint them 2 separate colors. what I could do is I would paint the heart one color. When it dries, take tin foil, cover it up. Okay, so protect it, and then I would paint the cage. And so I'll have two different colors. So I'm getting there. It's
So is there a big difference, Joe, in laying out a balling cage as compared to a hearting cage?
yes, there
Try to
is.
make it thicker, or
Yes, there is, and I didn't have enough time to talk about that. So on my YouTube channel, I walk people through it, but there is a big difference because I use templates to help me keep the project round, keep the ball round. With the heart, I'm eyeballing it. What I can do is, if you guys want, I could show you some of the tricks I use for the ball in the box. It's up to the viewers. I don't want to run out of time.
yeah, we're pushing up on about 4:30, so we'll probably start wrapping it up here shortly.
Okay.
Do you have those handy that you can talk about, or?
Sure.
Okay. So I guess in this project, you just continue on the path that you're going there until it breaks loose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then just do cleanup afterwards as far as the rails and stuff goes.
Exactly. I would use sandpaper. I'll show you a piece. So the project's going to look something like this when it's done. Okay. And then I would take sandpaper. Get in there very carefully. You don't want to damage any of the corners. Just
What grit is that? Do you know?
this is 120 grit.
Nice.
And I do that. Let's go in here and I may glue this sandpaper to a thin piece of plywood so it's nice and stiff, and I can get into here and get into tight areas. Okay, so with the ball in the box, I could show you. Let's see, this is a more complicated one. So as I'm carving this, I'll make a template, a little guide. It's on my YouTube page to help me with the to help me to circle. Okay, get the ball inside here. Same thing, just make another guard like this, but a little longer so you can reach in there. So let's see. Here it is. This guy here. Okay. Let's sand the ball in here. I'll just take a thin piece of sandpaper. I kind of wrap it around. I just kind of massage it back and forth. If you want to sand it, I have the chiseled look here. I do want to talk a little bit about the train and the station. The train and the station, it's hugging the rails. So I reserved the block of wood for the train. Didn't have to, it could be a tractor, it could be anything you want in here. But it's hugging. This is another train. Okay. So I have it. This is a good example right here. This is the smoke. So I carved, so only 1/8 of an inch of the smoke is grabbing and still hugging the rail. If that makes any sense. So again. Let's see. Dave, could you change the angle, please? See if that works. Okay, good. So here and here, only 1/8 of an inch of wood is grabbing, is hugging the rail. Over here, same thing here. Only 1/8 of the is hugging the rail. The smoke. It's hugging the rail here. Over here, here. The top of the it's gripping the rail. That's how it slides back and forth.
That's cool.
Okay.
What about the lettering, Joe? Do you do anything specific for the lettering on the front of that?
Yes, the lettering, I use the document tools, like 1-2 millimeter little tools. Thank you. I use a word processing program like Word. I type out the letters. I bring it to a photocopy and shrink it down to the size. I believe it's 3/8 of an inch. I glue it onto the wood. And then I use an X-Acto knife and little micro chisels, like maybe 1-2 millimeter chisels. Let's see, I have one here. Let's see, this is a 2 millimeter. I just very carefully make stop cuts and carve into the stop cuts. The little circle from my godson's middle initial. That's, I used a number 11 3 millimeter. I just made a stop cut going around it and carved up to it. The texture in the background of the lettering is just number 11 2 millimeter 3 millimeter. And like I mentioned earlier, number 11 is a U shape for people that are just starting out in the hobby. I'll show you what that looks like. Where am I? Okay, good. Okay, that's a U. That's a number 11. It looks like a U. Okay. Actually, you know what? I could show you on the wood just to show you the difference. Okay. That's a number 11. And I said number, this is a number 2. It's flat. Okay.
Another question, somebody wants to know, what's the largest ball and cage type creation you've made?
The largest is this guy. It was only because I didn't want the magazine to lose readers. I didn't want them to get discouraged. So I purposely made it this large, more like a tabletop conversation piece, because the original was much smaller. It's I've carved linked. I've used toothpicks and carved linked chains and toothpicks. I'm currently taking a matchstick, and I'm trying to carve a ball in a box and that with that. So I'm using a sewing needle. I grind it down into a chisel, and I have a digital microscope, and I'm trying to carve into a matchstick. And I was supposed to be ready for the Lancaster show and had no luck. I have about 2,000 matchsticks. I keep on buying different companies looking for that perfect wood, and I realized that they don't care about the quality of wood when it comes to matchsticks. So I'm stuck with an awful lot of matchsticks.
That'll be fun to see when you finish it.
Yeah. So I'm always working on projects.
Well, Joe, it doesn't look like there's any other questions in the chat. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we finish up here for the day?
No, I apologize it wasn't finished. You know, it's first time doing this, you know, live. So
no, I think it's perfect. I think everybody can see, you know, the progress and see where you're going with it, and they ought to be able to do their own based off what you showed them today. So it's great.
I would like to talk a little bit about soap if we have like a minute or two.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So it's soap carving. I like to use ivory, like I said, because it's like more like a wax, and you can go on Amazon and get like a vegetable carving knife, paring knife, if you're afraid if the kids are too young, they cut themselves, you can take some sandpaper and dull it. Helvey makes soap carving knives. Reach out to Rich or Holly. Okay, that was Bob Kalowitz. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. He taught me that he told me that Helvey makes those. And earlier when I talked about stop cuts, when it comes to soap carving, I just use a wooden dowel or like a toothpick to make the stop cuts to cut into the soap. And I use popsicle sticks to make the knife, especially when it comes to kids. Soap, and to make a stop cut, I just use a toothpick or the etch in. Okay, so I made a stop cut here, and then I take a vegetable knife or a popsicle knife and just carve it. Sorry. Okay. And I could show you some of the tools I make out of popsicle sticks. Let's see. So this is my little stop cut. It's a wooden dowel, so I can use a toothpick with this little wooden dowel. Okay. This is my popsicle knives. I take a black Sharpie marker to show where the blade is. And this is my little gouge. Could you change the angle, please, Dave? Gouge. Okay. And all I do is I just take popsicle sticks. I glue them together. Sorry. I glue them together. And then I take a piece of sandpaper, I put it on the table, on the glass platform, and I angle it, just like a knife. And then I paint it black so the student knows that this is the cutting edge. Okay. This is the early stage of the knife. After I glue it together, I also sand edge over here to make it into a gouge. Sand on an angle here, sand on an angle here. Okay. And the knife just sort of take some 80 grit sandpaper, 120 grit, and I just sand that off. And then I put my bevel down here.
When you do the classes at the library, do you take the materials and stuff with you?
I do. A lot of people think that's free, and so I explain to them that I'm sorry I have to keep it, but once in a while I'll give them. It depends on how many I have.
Right.
I've taught quite a few classes. So well over 70 soap carving classes since 2018. So.
Nice.
So people have a habit of walking away, but people give me donations, and it really helps. But now the library, they will supply material for me. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. I like Elmer's white glue, but this Alina's tacky glue seems to be works better for my soap carvings. Like I said earlier, I will brush it on with a disposable, like acid brush, I think they're called. So disposable brushes you get like a Home Depot. And I would brush on any kind of delicate portions, so it won't break on me. And I think I covered everything. Anybody have any questions?
Just a lot. I don't know if you can see the comments, but a lot of comments in the chat about how inspirational it is and how good the presentation's been. So we appreciate that.
Oh, good. Thank you.
One other question. Tony wanted to know how many hours a week do you spend on your art? I know you work a full-time job, so you have time designated for
great question. I keep a journal, okay, on just encourage me to carve more. So I try to get at least 10 to 15 minutes a day. Even if I'm driving home from work, I will park the car, engine off. I have to stress that. I don't want to be accused of driving and carving. Engine off, car, and I will carve and then take a brush and just brush it onto the street. So if any of my neighbors are watching it, yes, it's me. I'm the one who did it. So, but yes, I try to get at least 10 minutes, 15 minutes in a day.
Nice.
And it doesn't happen all the time. Life gets in the way.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you again for coming on and presenting, and it's definitely fascinating stuff. I'm glad that you yelled at me up in Pennsylvania and said, "Hey, we were in a magazine together." That caused me to go back and kind of revisit those old magazines and look through some of the articles and stuff in there, and it's pretty fun to kind of see the journey. So,
Absolutely.
we appreciate you and appreciate you coming on and sharing, and maybe we can get you back to do another presentation or something down the road, and maybe do a soap carving class or something like that. So I'll be
nice.
in touch. Be in touch for sure.
Well, thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and call the knife auction. It looks as though John Nelson, if you'll stay on, you are the high bid, and we'll gain your information here in a few minutes, and I'll get the knife out to you at the beginning of the week. I appreciate your support. As always, the knife auctions go to benefit these meetings and allow us to continue those. So thank you for that. Just want to say thank you all for coming on and joining us today. Again, next weekend, we'll have Joshua Walters coming in to do a demonstration for us on whimsical cottonwood bark houses. So we look forward to that. It'll be the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The video for this meeting should be out at the beginning of the week. I'll post it out on social media so that everybody's aware. If you weren't able to make it or had to leave early, you can go out and check it out there. And again, go out and like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We've got 5 years of content out there, everything that has to do with carving. So if there's anything you're looking for, you're just looking for inspiration or another project to work on, go out and check out the videos out there. I just want to say thank you for joining us today. This has been the International Association of Wood Carvers, and we will see you all next Saturday. All right, guys, welcome back. Hey, as bonus footage, we've decided to come on, and Joe's agreed to complete the project that he was working on Saturday. So we want everybody to be able to go out and see exactly what he does to release that heart. So he's going to take us through that process. One other thing we want to do as a bonus, the first person who recognizes something different about the video, if you will comment in the chat on the YouTube video itself, then you'll win an IAWC, International Association of Woodcarvers shirt, and we'll reach out to you, get your size, get all of the information we need to do to ship it out to you. And that'll be just kind of a little extra Easter egg to show our appreciation for you coming on and watching our videos. So having said all that, again, Joe, I appreciate you coming back to finish this up. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, and go right ahead, my friend.
Great. Thanks, Blake. Okay. So like I mentioned earlier, we're going to hold the knife across the 4 fingers. Thumb's going to be behind the blade. And I'm just steering the knife, driving the knife through the wood. And we're just going to continue picking at the heart. We don't want to change the shape of the heart or the size of the heart. We just want to pick around it. So let me show you. See, what I'm really working on is I'm beveling the inside of the rails here and here, so the heart breaks free. So I don't want to change the width. We don't want to make it smaller because we don't want to fall out, which by our design, it's nice and wide, so we're not going to have that problem. Okay. So hold the knife. This thumb is my little gas pedal, and I'm just going to pick at the heart. You're going to hear the wood splintering, like as if a toothpick is cracking. The sound of it. I don't know if you heard that. So I broke it free. There you go. it's there. Now, I want to show you a different tool. Pretend that didn't break free. I want to show you another tool. We can use a spoon gouge. Spoon gouge is, this is a number 3/8. 3 is the curve, 8 is the width, and it's shaped like a spoon. So we can use this tool if it's in your budget, if you have this in your toolbox. They can just kind of pick up the wood like this to break the heart free as well. Same thing here. Gripping the bottom, just use my fingers, scrape it and break it free. Also, you can use a dental pick I mentioned earlier to you. Just couldn't find it at the time. And we can use that to kind of scrape the wood out of the way. But since the heart is already broken, broke free, I'm just going to now hold the heart and carefully use my knife and start shaping it and rounding it. This is the hard part. This is where the patience comes in. I'm just going to carefully trim away without damaging the rails. Okay. If you have skew chisels, you can use skew chisels. Palm in the hand, hold the heart, and just carefully carve away.
Hey, Joe, did I see on that chisel that you have there, that's an end-load chisel?
Oh, yes, it is. It's a Howard and Low chisel. Back in 2019. And he's one of my guys I look up to.
Yeah, that's a tool that you can't really find real easy these days, but any kind of skew should work on this.
I'll show you other vendors. Let's see. So this is File, Swiss made skew chisel. You can get this from Woodcraft or let's see, Chipping Away, I believe they're called. I think they're based in Canada. So use this skew chisel. Now I'm using my thumb or my finger and applying pressure on the back of the heart to kind of wedge it into place. So I kind of secure it so I can trim and shape it. Okay. Now I'll show you another skew chisel. So I showed you the Enlow. That's a handmade chisel. This is the wood that he had in his backyard, found wood. This was a cedar from one of the trees. Let's see. I have a wood carver supply chisel. First chisel I got back in 1991. My parents bought it for me for Christmas. Okay. Or just go back to my knife. So shake it back and forth to see if it gets wedged or gets stuck. It doesn't, so I'm happy with this. But it's going to go and just immediately fine tune the rails. Okay. Okay. Carve this pencil line off. Magic eraser. Earlier, I mentioned my finishing techniques, but I'll repeat them. What I use is boiled linseed oil. I brush it on, like dripping wet, brush it on, and then I wipe it off. I let it sit for about 7 to 10 minutes, and I wipe off the oil and seed oil. And then I take the rags and I put them in a bucket of water, to soak, and then I bring them outside and I let them dry, because oil and seed oil can spontaneously combust. Okay. Get rid of this guy here. If you don't have a skew chisel, you can use your knife. You could use maybe like let's see, a number 3. Here, I have a 3/8 fishtail. This is a really nice tool, fishtail. The end looks like a tail of a fish. It's nice and light, less steel. When I say less steel, I'll show you the difference between a 3/8 fishtail and 3/8 regular. Let's see. This is my 3/8 regular, and this is my 3/8 fishtail. It's a lot less steel, so it's lighter and it's easier to get around. Okay, so once I'm happy with it, I usually use 120 grit sandpaper, and I work around. I just clean everything up. There you go.
All right, Joe. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you here real quick. And I just want to say thanks again for coming back on and sharing all of your skill. I know I've seen your work firsthand and know how meticulous you are about making sure it's accurate, which is fantastic. Your work is far better than a lot of people that I've seen as far as details and stuff goes. You pay special attention to doing the details and getting it the way you want it, and I appreciate that. So just want to thank you again for coming back on and sharing what you do, and maybe we can have you back on at another point to do a soap carving or something like that.
That would be great.
All right.
Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure.
All right.
Pleasure.
I just want to say thank you all again for coming on the International Association of Wood Carvers. It's been a great meeting, and hopefully you all will take these tips that Joe shared with you, apply them to what you're doing, and try Heart and Cage and show it to us. Get it out on social media, share it out there, maybe tag Joe in it. We would love to see what everybody comes up with. So if you would just do that, and we look forward to seeing you all next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all.
I say, if you just heard, I'm actually going to start recording here real quick, and Joe,
Sure.
we'll go through, and you can, it's said you have as many chances as you want, to do the intro, but basically introduce yourself, kind of, what we're going to be, learning today, a little bit about your journey and about, your carving, and if you want to hold up a carving with there, it's fine, or your soap carving, whatever you want to do, if you want to. If you don't, it's no big deal.
Okay.
And just make sure, though, whenever you finish up, make sure you say welcome to the International Association of Wood Carvers.
Does that have to be first, or could I just say my name and then say welcome? Or
You can say your name. Yeah, you can say your name. Do the welcome to the International Association of Wood Carvers last. That'll be fine.
I got you.
That'll work.
Okay, I'm going to try this. Wish me luck.
All right, it's all you. As many takes as we need to do.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Joe Savarese from Brooklyn, New York, in case you didn't recognize the accent, and welcome to the International Association of Woodcarvers. Looking forward to discussing carving with everyone.
So that's perfect.
Yep.
I think he's a pro.
I got it. That'll do. If you're happy with it, Joe, we're happy.
Can I try one more time?
Yes, you can. And that's as I said, you make sure you as many times you want. So it's all you whenever you want.